A subscriber and commenter on the channel recently, whilst commenting on the Kabbalistic candle magic method tutorial, asks the following question. I bought this week a couple of your PDFs, love them. However, I have a few questions. Can I use tin instead of blue paper because that metal is associated with Jupiter? This would make the magic more potent, I believe. Would you agree? In short, no, I don't believe that. It's important to understand that that method, the Kabbalistic candle magic technique, is a synthesis. It's a union between two currents of magic. On the one hand, it's based in Hoodoo, specifically Hoodoo candle magic, right? I'm a root worker. I've been working full-time professionally as a root worker for over a decade. I've been trained in that tradition, and that's kind of my grounding, my magical basis for my own practical work, as well as any of the formulas that I share on here, tends to come from within that folk magical tradition. The Solomonic aspect was welded to the Hoodoo, and the Kabbalistic candle magic system specifically is a scaled down, low resolution way of connecting with the spirits given in the greater key of Solomon in that very elaborate rite. And we do it in a sort of a scaled down, simplified Hoodoo style candle spell. And in Hoodoo, we see the use of these seals. It's a standard part of Hoodoo to include Solomonic seals in mojo bags, under candles and so on. And they are always paper. They're done on paper. Why? Because gold, silver seals, all these kinds of things, the kind of seals that are described in the Greater Key of Solomon, no root worker would have had the wherewithal or the interest to make a copper, tin, gold, or silver seal, right? So paper it is. So that's one reason. The second reason is that the petition in that formula, as you can see, I've got the petition written on the back of this seal. The petition in that formula has to be written on the back of this seal, right? The petition is very important in my method. The petition is in fact the charge to the spirits. It is what takes the seal from sort of being a general orienting principle to making it specific, right? So we take it from being just, say, a wealth creation spell, generally speaking, to saying, I would like to earn so many $100,000 a year by such and such a date, right? It goes from the general to the specific, and it's also a way for us to very specifically give our charge to the spirits using that method. And in order to do that, we need to write it out. We need to write the petition out in full on the back of this paper seal. Right? If I had intended for this seal to be metal, I would have included that in the formula. The reason is that we need to write our petition to the spirits on the back of this seal. You can't write your petition on the back of a piece of tin that's been engraved. So that's important. The second part of this is that my method is not a system for consecrating metal talismans. That's just not what it was created for. This is a misunderstanding that has sprung up online and is being promoted by certain people who use my system in order to sell expensive metal talismans. I'm having to set straight a lot of misconceptions about the intention of this system. It's been misconstrued. More and more I'm getting people coming back to me from other sources who are using my method and making claims that are really meant to substantiate the sale of metal talismans. My PDF bundle costs $15. All the ingredients are easily accessible and are intended to be cheap and to make this method of magic accessible. That was part of the intention when I did this work. Expensive metal talismans, engraving seals and so on is beyond the reach of most people, A, and B, it is not necessary for the system. The reason is that my method is a scaled down, low resolution way of contacting the spirits. It's a form of spirit work. And the intention is that the spell connects us to certain kinds of spirits who are associated with the planetary sphere, and then we give our petition to those spirits. The spirits then fulfill that petition. It's a form of spirit-driven spellcraft. It is not a method for consecrating talismans. I've got a whole video about this explaining my thinking around it, but suffice to say, a paper seal is all that is needed. And if you want to have it have a more planetary association, by all means, printed on blue. Blue is associated with Jupiter. You can dress it with Jupiter oil, and we add Jupiter herbal materials to the candles and so on. We bring in the planetary correspondence using herbal materials and colors and incense. All inexpensive, accessible items, right? The idea is that this work is an accessible way of connecting and directing the spirits of the greater key of Solomon. We use the pentacles as a way of commanding the spirits. This is where the magician derives his authority from. But it is not, we are not creating fancy golden, silver, metal pentacles and seals for a very good reason. And the reason is the same as we don't create the fancy swords, we don't create the wands, we don't do the 12-foot circle with the robes, and if you read the Greater Key of Solomon, there is a panoply of expensive ritual regalia that is needed, right? Including gold, silver, tin, copper, pentacles that are used to command the spirits. We use none of that in this method. That is intentional. That is entirely intentional in the system. It works beautifully as it is. It is a way of petitioning the spirits in a very direct way. Its intention is the same as all hoodoo-based and folk magical methods in general. The primary intention is for it to be accessible and inexpensive. I want anyone to be able to work with it. It's very straightforward. I've laid it out in a very step-by-step manner. And in the end of the whole procedure, you do have the option of taking this paper pentacle and carrying it in your wallet if you want, right? But it's not necessary. This is not a system of talismanic magic. I do a lot of professional work, contracted work for clients using this method, and most of them are on continents across the Atlantic or the Pacific Ocean. I will do the work using the pentacles, and I will never send them a single pentacle. But their objectives are manifested. Why is that? It's because this is a form of spirit-driven spell work. The spirits are given the command, the spirits are given the directive, the petition that is written on the back of the seal in this method, that charge they accept, and the spirits whom we contact using the method go forth and they do whatever needs to be done to make it happen. Each time you do this right, the spirits are given a unique charge. And the rite has to be done with that focus in mind. We are commanding the spirits to perform something very specific, very tailored in each instance for the person who is doing this work. So the work has to be done especially for you if it's being done. The spirits are the active agent in this work. It's a system of spirit-driven spellcraft.